Welcome to our second episode of Turn Tech into Real Life Wisdom. I'm Lata Kumar from Zamorins Solutions, and with me is our special guest Dana Sellers, an award winning executive coach and facilitator who transforms how professionals and teams work so that more hours stop being the enemy of more impact. She brings deep experience from global brands and years of coaching leaders. And we are going to dig into how one smart move can change the entire direction of your career. Dana, please introduce yourself.
Latha, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here today and excited for your whole series and to be a part of it. Again, have spent several years doing coaching, facilitation. I love to work with those busy professionals and those busy companies because we all want more from our time, but we don't necessarily want to spend more time at work. Because as you mentioned, more hours is in fact the enemy of more impact.
Absolutely. So, people come to you right now. What are they most frustrated and scared about in this market, Dana?
Yeah, I think the market right now is we keep thinking we have seen the worst of things, and yet there continues to be a lot of instability. And so I am working with individuals who are either in a job and they're concerned about holding on to it. They are concerned about whether there are more options to them. They are tired of spending so many hours at work, but they really just want to hold on to their role. I'm also working with organizations, again, who are trying to spend a little less money to have more efficiency in their systems. They're hesitant to invest in things, although investing in things sometimes is the best way to save money in the long run. So, whether it's somebody who is just trying to get more work life balance, or somebody who is trying to get ahead, or somebody who is trying to find their next role, we're really able to go through sort of the foundation principles with them.
Hmm, that's awesome. So, I know that people are looking for jobs a lot now, and
Mhm.
also they have experience in one specific career for so many years, and the job market may be for something else in the hot topics like AI and many
Yeah.
others. And what is your take on that? What should they do to get
Yeah.
prepared for their next role?
Yeah. No, it's so interesting. I mean, I'm old enough to be familiar with a generation where you stayed in a role, you stayed in those skills, you worked your way up the ladder, you got your pension, you got your gold watch. That is absolutely not the way that the world is working today. And so even if you're in a role at a company, people don't feel as stable anymore. They feel like the companies are laying off, whether that's because of the economy or because AI is coming in as an extra added piece that can make people more efficient. Again, there's more and more instability in those roles. And so the thing to really focus on first is to know that our careers at this point really should be an evolution. So not to think of it as you are stayed in one specific role with one specific skill set. So we always want to be adapting and looking at what is new, what is next, how do I continue to evolve with this role to serve it best and for it to serve me best. I think in order for us to adapt to that, I think we want to put on our always learning hat. We want to make sure that we are paying attention to what AI is. We do not want to be putting our heads in the sand at this. Now is the time because, to be honest, nobody really knows what they're doing with AI. So now is really the great time to get more and more well versed in it, figuring out how it applies. And then also figure out if you want to make a pivot or a transition, how does what you're doing truly apply to that? You have amazing skills. You have, I mean, the soft skills are one of those things that do not change significantly. So we really want to focus on those. The hard skills we can learn, the AI, the tools, the techniques we can learn, but really emphasizing those soft skills and that flexibility. But where you're missing a hard skill, don't be afraid to show that you are dedicated to that, to get some education, get a certification, volunteer for a project, add something else to your resume to not only get the experience, but be able to show that you have the experience in that new area.
So people are using LinkedIn a lot, especially if you are in a career stage in mid to senior level
Yep.
leadership. So when I talk to some of them, even recently, they mentioned, I applied to 100 jobs today.
Yeah.
And I asked, how did you do that and how much time? Because AI is able to create the responses for the positions. So I felt, how can this be customized? If it is not customized, are they even able to get a screening initially? That was my thought. So, what do you think about that type of scenarios when people are, you know, applying left and right, going through different career sites and using AI for that?
Yeah. Now, I think again, this is the reality of the world that we're in. We are getting into a numbers game. So as much as I see people who are sending hundreds, even thousands of resumes, again, the idea is it's not that we don't want to be sending those resumes and be working with those job sites, but we for sure want to customize those. We want to make sure that we are looking at those specifically, that the keywords are represented in what we're doing, and we're able to really customize it to it. I do also want to tell, I've talked to people who send 3 resumes and get rejected and get deflated. So we don't want to do that either. We know it's a numbers game. We want to get more resumes out there than necessarily we're going to hear back from. So that is the expectation. But we do want to make sure that we're customizing and not just getting them out there, because they're going to be ignored and they're not going to get past the screening, and we're never going to have that conversation.
Hmm.
The other tip that we always want to be paying attention to is there's ways to circumvent that screening
Mm.
and get your resume in front of an actual person. And that's by focusing on our relationships. And so we want to be spending a lot more time on developing relationships than we do on sending those resumes via LinkedIn or other job sites. 75 to 80% of jobs that are filled are never even posted. And the ones that are posted are more likely to be filled by somebody who's a referral.
Hmm.
So we want to be realistic that we want to be spending a lot of time developing our relationships, nurturing our connections, and making sure that if we see an opportunity or a company that we're interested in, we are reaching out to people that we know or people who know them and looking for that connection, that conversation to get our resume actually in front of people.
Hmm. Interesting. So, what about, there may be not everybody may be using LinkedIn, correct? They may not be using social media at all, especially if it is you know if it is career, somebody is searching for a career between 40 to 60. Not everybody will be so technology
Sure.
savvy, and not everybody will be is in that arena of in front of the laptop or computer. They may have different type of work.
Yeah.
What is your suggestion for them?
Yeah. So we still want to be focusing on those relationships, but take those relationships into the real world. We actually talk to people on a day to day basis. So, first off, make sure that you're really prepared with what your elevator pitch is. Who are you? What are you looking for? What makes you special? What is kind of your personal brand? Make sure that you are talking to, first of all, everybody that you know about what you're looking for and what those possibilities are. And then put yourself in target rich environments. So go to that job fair, go to that educational program on a topic that's related to what you're doing. So go to places where the people that you want to meet and connect with are. The very secret ingredient to all of these pieces is be the person who follows up. So a lot of times we'll go to a job fair, we'll hand our resume to the person, we'll chat with them very briefly, but they'll be at a table with other people. And so then we'll carry on to the next one. So be the one who gets that contact name and follows up with them so that they know that we're truly interested and we can be that much more memorable.
Okay, that's a very good tip. And also, in a real life situation, one of my friend I talked to, she's actually in business looking for more tips, more people to
Yeah.
engage, and she's a financial industry
Yeah.
uh, you know business owner. She mentioned, like, I paid for this networking event, and I don't think I did very well because I
Mm.
got only 2 or 3 people connected.
Mhm.
I could not get to everybody in the room. So,
Yes.
so I was thinking, why don't you have the list of people in advance if you're paying for it, and try
Oh,
to
yeah.
find out who could be the right contact for you, and find them rather than running around the whole room and trying to find people. What do you think that scenario? How can somebody like that get the best benefit out of a networking event?
Yeah, no, I love that tip about where can we be pre-prepared to go into these? Because sometimes we don't have access to the information, but a lot of times we just need to ask or follow up, and then we can get a sense for who's going to be there. And then if we go in, again, a lot of people also don't love the in-person networking, and I get it. It can be a little challenging and it can be taxing and it can feel overwhelming. So if we go in there with really one or two focused targets, whether that's the person that we want to meet, the kind of person that we want to meet, or just maybe setting yourself a number. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure that I really connect with 3 people. And then maybe I'll meet some additional people on top of that. But that's my goal that I want to walk away with. And so as you go into those groups, again, if you bring a buddy, that can sometimes be a great way to ease those interactions and help kind of have somebody be your wingman as you're going through those conversations. But if you're going alone, again, being prepared, having your elevator ready, having some questions ready that you want to do that. And then sometimes the lay of the land can be helpful to direct you where you want to go. Sometimes go in and maybe find that other person who's also not yet engaged in conversations and connect with them. This, again, as much as it can be a numbers game, it's really more about finding those couple quality connections that you can continue to follow up on and build on. The other suggestion that I always have for these conversations is, again, sometimes groups are overwhelming. But if you're having a conversation with one person, think about who they can introduce you to. So, who do you know who's in this industry, in this role, in this company, so that they can connect you with somebody, either in addition to or instead of them, if that person's not necessarily the right connection for you. And that can be a great way to make sure that you're really getting connected with the right people.
Absolutely. And I see many recruiters posting, and
Mhm.
some of them don't have any recruiter name, but there will be a job posting. So, do you think that connecting with recruiters is going to be a very good prospect for them to get a job in the future?
Yeah, recruiters can be a great asset, but I think it requires a little bit of due diligence. Again, Google them, find out some more information where there's available to figure out, okay, who are you representing? How are you talking to people? Is this the right fit for me? Because again, if it's a recruiter in the right industry who's looking for the right roles, yeah, that can be a great connection for you. But again, if you don't know much about them, it can be a little dicier and it may not pay off in the long run. So again, it's just use a little bit of sort of common sense as you are approaching those people. Again, don't necessarily offer up too much information until you know more about who
Mhm.
they are and what they're representing.
What is one mindset shift someone can make today so they stopped taking every rejection as a verdict on their worth?
I know, I know. This is the reality of things. So, again, as we talked about, it is a numbers game. So, I was actually talking to a recruiter earlier, and he's like, it's a little bit like dating. So, we don't need to match with everybody. We just need to match with our right person. So, we just need to match with our right role. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, it is a little uncomfortable putting ourselves out there, but remembering that when you're being rejected, and that's how it feels, it is not about you as a person. It is not even necessarily about how great you would be for the role. So, where you can, and again, you cannot always, but where you can, get information about why they didn't feel it was the right fit. And that's what it is. It's somebody else felt like a better fit. And so if you can get any feedback, take that. That's great learning experience to figure out, like, maybe that's true. Maybe that was not the right role for me. Or maybe I can continue to position myself a little bit differently. I
Mhm.
think as we're applying for roles, it's important to think about, like, where am I getting rejected? So am I not getting past the screening? If so, I want to pay a little more attention to my resume, make sure that I'm catching those keywords. Maybe I work with somebody who's really familiar with the systems and can get me a more polished resume for that. Am I getting to the first round of interviews, but not to the second? Am I getting further up along the way? And so that gives us also some information to think about, like, okay, so at what point am I no longer seen as the best fit? And so how do I start to address that information? I think that it can be a bummer and this can be hard work. So it is a job and we need to spend some time and we need to go through this. But as much as we can disassociate that, the other tip that I would give is if you're between roles, kind of take that as the fun that it could be. So if you can spend some time doing some things that nurture you and light you up and remind you what is important about you and what you want and what a good fit is, that's going to help put you in the right mindset when you're having those conversations. And as much as you can stay in the right mindset, not only is it going to make you happier in your day to day, but it is going to make you a better candidate. You would be surprised how much better of a fit you'll be, how many more opportunities you'll see if you continue to kind of put yourself out there in a way that sees the possibility.
Absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit more about the in between jobs or people getting to the level of what they need to be. In our company, in Xamarin Solutions, all of us are getting trained in AI automation. Everybody, starting
Mm-hmm.
from me till the
So
intern.
great.
So, what we are doing is upskilling everybody.
Yeah.
So, we have so much of workflows in our own company with all these products and projects, so everybody learns and then make their work a flow and automation.
Yeah.
That is first step we are doing. Now we are offering to anybody who's interested to work with us 50% off for the first 10 clients who we are going to adopt. So this is for initial adopters. If anybody is interested, they can message me or email or connect with LinkedIn. We have all this. You can see that Lata Kumar and you have my LinkedIn profile. That's the reason you joined. So that is something we are giving as a lead magnet, an additional perk for anybody who wants to do workflow automation. So that's from our end. And I would like to ask you, will you be able to provide any blueprint for the 7 days in a week?
Oh, I love that you're asking this question, Latha. So, one of the first tools that I work with so many of my clients on is a tool which I will offer to this audience for free. And it is called the Better Week Blueprint. And what this does is this really blends together kind of two of the key pillars in the work that I do. So, one is the clarity piece. So, really taking a moment to think about what's important. What do I want to be focusing on this week? What are the top up to 3 things that I want to do? And then we take that and we really figure out how to take back control of our calendars. We want to own our calendars. We want to figure out how things fit in. The other key piece to this that we want to make sure that we're incorporating into our weeks, but also into various aspects of our lives, is this reflection process. So I've had a week. It didn't go how I thought it was going to go, which is usually the case. And so we really want to take some time and celebrate the things that we did do,
Mm.
celebrate the wins. We don't do enough of that. We don't acknowledge the amazing things that we do each and every week. But then we also want to kind of reflect on, okay, the things that didn't go the way that I wanted them to, what could I experiment with this next week that might work a little bit better so that I'm continuing to get new information on reflection. So whether you are between roles or you are in a role that's taking up the majority of your time and you want to find pockets to spend on the things that you say are important, it's really a simple process. And this will give you kind of the blueprint to follow so that you can start to incorporate those quick wins as well as those long-term goals into your days.
Absolutely. This is a great tip. In my own experience, what I do is if I have so much to do, I do a brain dump
Yes.
almost every Sunday. Everything I wanted to get accomplished when it's getting bombarded, everything I write for
Yeah.
10 minutes without correcting, without going back and changing anything. And based on that, I prioritize my entire week
Yeah.
with those tasks. Then I add them in my calendar, 20 or 30 minutes depending on the task,
Yeah.
and actually on my phone to make sure I'm tracking. Otherwise, I'll miss that boat.
Yeah.
With that, I am getting a lot accomplished, Dana. And we talked about it, remember?
Yes. I love that tip. I use kind of what I refer to as the 6 Ds. And so the first D is to dump everything out. I think that again, there's a couple reasons why that's so important. So one is our brains can only keep so much information active.
Hmm.
And if we don't teach our brains how to filter down the right information, it will pick what it wants. It will not pick the most important things. And so if we can get a system where we dump all that information down, like you said, as you do as a regular part of your process, and then we can start to filter it. So we want to delete the things, which is our second D, that we are not going to do. So we need to be realistic. Not all of these things are going to get done. So what do we want to delete? If we're not ready to delete it, what are the things we want to defer? It's not something I can work on right now, but I want to make sure that it's taken care of so that I can let my brain know that it's there somewhere. We
Hmm.
want to diminish our tasks. Not everything is worth the amount of time that we could spend in doing those things. So we want to figure out what is the MVP of that and what do I want to time box it to. We want to digitize, which could mean AI, but it could mean creating a spreadsheet, creating a template, whatever we need to do to make some of those tasks we do on a regular basis a little bit easier. And then we want to, of course, delegate. So we do not need to be the people who are doing all of our tasks. So figure out what we can delegate. And sometimes that's within an organization. Sometimes that's just asking somebody else in our family to take out the trash, plan the vacation, whatever it is. And then, of course, we want to do our tasks with effectiveness, which includes finding that time blocking on our calendar, which can be incredibly helpful.
Actually, you're spot on, Dana, about delegating. Because the amount of time we are doing to take the trash out, or even washing,
Mhm.
or even
Yep.
cleaning our house, if we can get somebody else to do that, we can use our time more productively
Yeah.
to get more results. I really like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we got couple of questions actually,
Great.
uh, already from the audience before even we started. So one question actually is about, this person is a school teacher and she got laid off,
Mm.
and she doesn't know if she's able to go back to the next calendar year in another school. She's very worried after 10 years in doing what she was doing. What do you think she should be doing to get the next position in your
Yeah.
mind?
Yeah. And so for this, I think that the first phase of this process really is that clarity piece. So sitting down, what do you know? What have been your experiences that have worked really well for you? So really kind of looking at some reflection about what has worked well, how have I done things, what are some of the things that I'm thinking about? I think brainstorming here can be a great process. We get stuck in the way that we do things. And so, not only taking some time with yourself to sit down and think about what the approaches are, but talking to other people that you know, talking to other teachers, using AI, whether that's ChatGPT or otherwise, to really think about like, okay, what are all the possible things that I could be doing? So we really want that box to get way, way bigger than we're ever going to pursue, but we want to kind of get outside of our own way. So then once we see all of those options, we want to go back to that clarity piece. Like, what are our goals? What is the most important for us? Like, is it I need, money by a certain time? Like, is that the most important thing that we're worried about? Is it getting a job at a similar type of role? Are there things that maybe I want to evolve into or I want to try? So that'll help sort of formulate how to prioritize where you're expending your effort. Because again, if it's getting money in the door immediately, maybe it's about getting a side gig or a hustle while you're looking for some of those things. If it's exploring other schools, other areas, then maybe it's really focusing on networking and really talking to those other people. If there's a skill set piece that you're looking for that would make you more marketable, then maybe that's where you're going to emphasize your time. So it's really kind of tying all of those things together to figure out, like, okay, for me, what are some of the priorities that I really want to focus on? Because, like we mentioned, we don't have all the time in the world. So sometimes we do need to kind of pick and choose what our paths are.
Yes. Thank you, Dana. So those who are listening to us or watching as a replay, please specify any questions you have. We'll be able to answer. Dana is here right now, and if not too, if you have to go through a replay and answer, I have a question. We'll be happy to answer those questions and help you the much you can, much we can. Sorry. So, Dana, if anyone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way, and what exactly do you do?
Yeah, so I have a number of ways of working with people one on one. So I have a low price membership as well as some individual one on one packages that I work with. I also work with teams and organizations. So I do training and facilitation around some of those topics. If you would like to learn more about me, you can always go to danazellers.com, which is spelled just like this. And again, you can get my Better Week blueprint at danazellers.com/better week. And of course, I am very active on LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I would love to connect. I'm at Dana_Zellers.
Oh, that's good. I know that a lot of people are going to listen to this or watching this already and provide and might be able to reach out to you for help, especially in this time.
Yeah. And again, I know that there are a lot of specific questions that we can't necessarily all get to today. So if you have follow-up questions, I am happy to answer them.
So, as a final takeaway, one important thing anyone who is listening wants to take from this conversation, what is that?
Yeah. So I would go back to I have kind of three pillars to my framework. And I think it's really a balance of those three. So one is having that clarity, knowing what's important to you, what you want to be focusing on. Two is being effective with your time. Again, make sure that we are not spending all of our time sending out resumes if that's not going to get us where we want to go. So we really want to think about that. And the third piece is relationships. We have talked about this, and hopefully, you are with me that relationships are going to be the most important thing to those foot indoor. And so, how can you continue to connect and nurture the relationships that you have and the ones that you are about to have?
100% Dana. I want to add a little bit to that.
Please.
All my businesses, all my anything, we meet somebody is not thinking about what we can gain. We've talked to people, understand who they are, and they talk to us. There is something there. If there is a connection, so automatically the wavelength will match.
Yeah.
Not everybody may be the best fit or best connection,
Mhm.
but still they are connections. We never know what's tomorrow. They may be knowing somebody who wants your help or may not be or doing something else in the whole scheme of life.
Mhm.
Maybe after 10 years, I have got people coming back to me and asking things.
Yeah.
And especially in a relation in a customer situation, it's all about relationship. It's not about what we can gain.
Yeah.
And we have to give more to gain something.
Yeah.
The giving mentality, if you have, you are already one. To get that mentality
Yeah.
is that you have to work for. That's what I feel. And relationship is everything. If there is no relationship, there is no business.
I agree.
Now, even in personal life, right? If the relationship is strained, you cannot have a harmony there,
Yeah.
and there is no foundation. So I totally agree with you on that. So, Dana, what's your parting words?
My parting words is, you know what? Think about the evolution of things that are happening right now, not necessarily as a burden, but as a blessing. So we never know what's going to be around that next corner. So be positive and get curious and see how you can have a little fun with it.
Very good. Exactly. We cannot have everything, right? Whatever we have, you make it the best.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you, Dana, for having this wonderful time with me here. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to gain a lot out of it. And whoever is listening now or replay, please stay tuned for our next episode. We'll be bringing something really nice, which will be helpful for the community. I'm very community oriented person, and our company does too. And people who we bring also are very much into helping others. So thank you so much to all.
Thank you
We'll
so
con-
much.
we'll connect with you all soon. Thank you, Dana. See you.
Thanks so much for having me.